Today, I was going to make some generic farms for y'all to use, but after a comment asking me to design a farm for Cattiva and Foxparks, which I wasn't sure if that would be possible, I tested for a day to find out. Not only is it doable, I have it for you now. In this video, I'll be going over Cattiva, Foxparks, Digtoise, and the Chillets. Let's jump straight in. Greetings friends, Khaios here. Cattiva, Foxparks, Digtoise, and the two Chillets are new summons available in the 1.4.5 update from the Palworld crossover. They have a bunch of utilities, they're great tools and weapons early in the game, and they're cute to boot. The best part, they're mostly obtainable in the Skyblock World Seed, because unfortunately, the huge dragon egg that drops the Chillets is not obtainable in Skyblock, as the egg is placed during world generation. The rest, however, are all obtainable. Today, I'm going to be telling you how we can make this much easier by building an AFK farm as well as a growing area to get these pals. But first, a quick overview of all of these summons and what they do. Cattiva is a pink cat minion that runs and lunges at enemies. Additionally, when you're digging with your pickaxe, it will mine alongside you at the level of around an iron pick. Cattiva spawns on grass, jungle grass, snow, or ice during the day as long as you're not in a graveyard biome and you're in the outer quarter of the world. Once you defeat or despawn the two goblin archers that are imprisoning it, you will be able to pick up Cattiva as a summoned weapon. Cattiva spawns as an NPC, however, and can be easily slain, so you have to work quickly to save it. Unless you use my farm. Unlike most other minions in the game, Palworld minions can only be summoned one time, so you can't have multiple Cattivas running around. Foxparks is a fiery looking fox minion that runs towards enemies and shoots fireballs at them, applying the fire debuff. Additionally, you can pick up Foxparks and wield it as a flamethrower, which can pierce up to 3 targets at a time. As with the other Palworld summons, you can pet this little guy. It also shares the exact same spawn conditions as Cattiva, which means we only need to design and build one farm for both of these weapons. Digtoise is a spiky turtle that is essentially a digging tool. It can dig 3 blocks at a time, left, right, or down, which you can direct using a summon item. It can be amazing for digging tunnels or elevators. Digtoise is found in the underground desert, hiding within its shell on top of sandstone. As for the Chillets, they are 2 long dragon mounts that have a dash attack which deals summon damage. You obtain them from huge dragon eggs, which you can find spread out in the underground and cavern layers. The farms I will be building today will not only be doable in Skyblock, they might even be easier there since you have better control of how and where monsters spawn. Now, if you've been enjoying these videos and you'd like to help support the channel, tell the YouTube AI overlord that I'm doing a good job by leaving a like and a comment, then subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. And if you're on the prowl for official Terraria merch, check out the new Plantera t-shirt and Seedler keychain in the description and pinned comment. And with that quick plug out of the way, let's get to the easiest pal. Digtoise is technically the easiest to obtain. The only 2 things that you need to get it are sandstone block and time. Head into the underground or cavern layers and start placing lines of sandstone. Over time, antlion eggs will spawn on top of the sandstone. This can happen even if you don't use any desert walls. Rarely, instead of spawning an antlion egg, Digtoise will spawn instead. When you see it, just mine it up with your pickaxe. This farm doesn't need for you to be around, so you can go anywhere and do anything while time passes. But it can take a very long time for you to get a Digtoise. The more sandstone you place, the better chance you have of nabbing this pal. Now, let's talk about the more difficult ones to get. As I mentioned in the intro, Cattiva and Foxparks both share the same spawn conditions, which means they both can be sharing the same farm. There are 2 issues that I need to tackle with their spawning to get the farm to work. The goblin scouts that surround them, and the slimes that will also be spawning with them, both of which can easily kill these 2 pals and leave us with time wasted. They are quite rare, so we definitely want to try and maximize our chances of obtaining them safely. I've put a lot of design into this farm, and it's not perfect. Sometimes the pals will die, but I have found that I get around 1 summon every 20 minutes. I'll be building this in the Skyblock world, however, you can build this on any world. The thing is, you'll want to limit what can spawn near the farm, so if you're building this in a standard world, I recommend building it in the sky so that slimes can't spawn below or around it. This farm is doable pre-hard mode without having killed a single boss. That means no wiring, no bubbles, nothing special except for one item. The only thing that you need to get are conveyor belts, but now we can get those from conveyor slimes in our cavern. Technically, they only drop clockwise conveyors. On a normal world, we can use dart trap setups to change their direction before getting the mechanic, or we could just defeat Skeletron and get the mechanic to change the directions of these blocks. For simplicity's sake, for this farm, I will only be using clockwise conveyors. First, I need to start by actually getting to the correct location. We have to set up this farm on the outer quarters of the world. The easiest way to figure that out is just to find the ocean, and once we find the ocean biome, we backtrack a little bit from there. From here, we will start building the frame of the farm. This is the spot where the mobs will spawn. In my last video, I mentioned having to use conveyor belts in every other space to get the mobs that we want to spawn on top of the blocks that we want to spawn, but also having conveyors move things along. However, a very helpful commenter pointed out that I missed something in the patch notes. Conveyor belts will spawn entities on it based off of what block is beneath the conveyor. So that means if we have grass blocks under our conveyor belts, the conveyors will spawn enemies as if the conveyors themselves were grass blocks. This means we can have conveyors cover every part of our farming floors while getting the spawns that we want. I guess conveyor belts are even more versatile than they were before. So let's start by having a row of 35 conveyors in length, followed by a non-conveyor block, and then a row of 38 more conveyor belts like this. Under the left side, conveyors add a row of 19 dirt blocks and plant grass on them with either seeds or the staff of regrowth. This will be the spot where our enemies, Cattiva and Foxparks, will spawn. Above the right edge of the grass, place 2 rows of 3 blocks like this and shape them into triangles with your hammer. Be sure to slope them exactly in this position. Now swap them out with platforms. This creates what we call a platform hoik. A hoik is a block interaction where you step inside of a sloped block and it will push you out of it in a specific direction depending on how the block is shaped. This can work with items, players, NPCs, and monsters. Once you have a hoiked block, you can swap it with a platform to get a platform hoik. The platform thinks that it's a sloped block, but it's not. You can walk into it. It will act like a sloped block when you're inside of it and shove you away from it, even though you can stand inside of platforms. When a hoik pushes you, you can be pushed through solid tiles. And that's how we're going to get this farm to work. Next, we need more hoiks. Create 8 more rows of 3 blocks and slope them in the same direction. You do not need to block swap these with platforms. Now, when we stand on the conveyor belt, the platforms will push us into the blocks. Since those blocks are also sloped, the blocks will continue pushing us through them, like this. This is how we're going to carry everything that spawns from the grass area towards our AFK spot. But this doesn't solve our biggest issue. Cattiva and Foxparks can be grabbed like this, but so will the slimes and goblins, and they'll instantly kill our pals. Up next, we need to figure out how to sort our enemies from our friends. Create 5 more rows of 3 blocks and slope them into the same shape to make more hoiks. At the end of those pointed blocks, add a row of non-sloped blocks. Goblins are 3 blocks tall. Cattiva and Foxparks are both 2 blocks tall. This means we can sort the goblins away from Cattiva and Foxparks by creating a ceiling just above the heads with a single block. This block will stop goblins from progressing further down the conveyor belt, but the conveyors will still carry our pals. This helps sort them, but it also creates a new problem. As goblins get caught in this little box, it becomes a death trap for Cattiva and Foxparks that try to pass through, as they will most certainly instantly kill them. So we need to get rid of the goblins. There's actually a little trick that we can do for that. Simply break this conveyor belt right here. Now when the goblins are jumping around, sometimes they will somehow squeeze themselves through that tiny gap. Since we're up in the sky, they'll simply fall and despawn. And that's the goblin problem solved. Next, we have to tackle the slimes. Slimes, like Cattiva and Foxparks, are just 2 blocks in height, so we can't sort them the same way that we sort out the goblins. The slimes will just continue down the conveyor belt and kill our pals. But there is a way that we can move them out of the way. Whenever a slime is in water, it will instantly start to float. Let's start by swapping out the past 5 rows of the hoiks that we placed with platforms. Next, starting from the rightmost solid hoik, build 10 blocks high. On the other side, next to the goblin catch chamber, build another wall up to match. Cap them off with a roof. Now build another row of blocks on the inside right here. Fill the larger chamber with water. Now when slimes hit the water, they will instantly start to float up to the surface. We don't want them getting stuck in there forever, otherwise we'll hit our spawn cap, so put some lava in this small chamber. The slimes will move from the water to the lava and then die. When in the water, sometimes slimes can get stuck on these hoiks as they start to swim. We can fix this by breaking these 3 rows of platforms. It will not stop the pals and goblins from hoiking thanks to the conveyor belts. Now, if I launch a drone, we could watch the farm in action from a distance. As you see, the goblins get caught in their little box, then jump out through the bottom of the world. The slimes hit the water, float up, and then fall into the lava. And would you look at that, we're even lucky enough to get a Foxparks mid-farm build. And goodbye, friend. The farm's not done, but you could tell that it's working. We'll be working on catching him next. But first, as you can see, slimes can sometimes get caught in the water at the top. We can fix this by sloping this block. And I totally forgot to remove this bottommost platform, but this just gives you an example of how slimes can get caught if we don't. Now, we need to build our AFK area and a safe place to catch our pals. At the end of the conveyor belts, build 5 blocks down, then 12 blocks across, so that we have a platform of 13 in length. Build up on the other end and cap it off with a roof, leaving a 2-block gap near the conveyor. This is where our pals will drop in. Build 4 blocks up from here, then create a ceiling all the way up over the farm. This technically isn't needed, but it will add a little layer of security for our pals as they travel towards us in case of something like a slime rain. Next, we need to make our AFK spot a valid place for a bed and a spawn point. Add a trap door, then place some walls up to here, and add 2 platforms right next to the conveyor belt so that it separates the house from the farm. The reason we want a spawn point here is because we're at the end of the world, which means sometimes the king slime will spawn. He will most likely teleport into you, then jump off of the farm and despawn. But just in case he manages to kill you, we want to have a bed so we can respawn at the farm. And now, technically, we have a functioning Cattiva and Foxparks farm. There's just a couple of other issues that we need to address. As the farm runs, sometimes bunnies and squirrels will make their way past the goblins and slimes and into the safety box. This is partially an issue because as they build up, they will eat at our spawn rates, but furthermore, if we hit a windy day and a ladybug spawn, then die, we'll get slapped with bad luck and the critters can attack us. So we need to get rid of them. Simply swap these 2 spaces with platforms and then do the same on the other side. Now when bunnies and squirrels get into the box, they'll just jump out. This is the farm working, but there are a few things that we can do to improve it. Firstly, get yourself a gnome and place it nearby. This will give you some good luck, which will help increase the spawns. Anything that you can do to increase your luck will help. If you have luck potions, use them. If you can get your hands on a lucky clover, hold it in your inventory. Secondly, if you have access to a water candle, place it as it will increase your spawn rates. You can increase the spawn rates even further by making this area a jungle biome. I would recommend adding some jungle grass nearby. Just make sure that you put the jungle grass close enough to the AFK spot so that it's on screen and nothing can spawn on it. I recommend placing it just under the conveyor belts. Additionally, after some testing, I decided to add a row of grass blocks over the spawn area on the right side. This is because I was having an issue where pals were spawning, then getting trapped against the goblin archer that spawns between me and them. By spawning this row of grass, when the pal spawns, the goblins will take the highest position possible and actually spawn above the pals, so they won't be in the way. This does not happen every time. Sometimes the pals will spawn further to the left and the goblins will spawn on the floor, and thus the pal will die. While you can sometimes get an unlucky spawn position, this actually does help drastically. The lava pool to the left of the water will deal with any other enemies that spawn on that grass. I've also increased the size of the spawn area to 24 grass blocks in length to kind of compensate for that. Just because a Cattiva or Foxparks spawns with a goblin archer in front of it doesn't mean that it can't get through, it's just less likely. So I want to maximize the chances of these pals getting through without dying. Unfortunately, I haven't found a way to make this farm completely safe for them without use of wiring, and I wanted to make this completely wire-free. I moved the bed to the middle of the room to put my respawn point in a more ideal location for the extended spawn platform. I added a block at head level so I could just press myself against it and be at the best AFK spot. Also, a weird thing. I had King Slime spawning and teleporting into the house and then getting stuck in there, just guaranteeing that I instantly die constantly. I found that sloping this block above my head for some reason got him out of there and jumping off the edge. Don't know what that's about, but hey, whatever works. And that's it. Now you could just hop in, sit back, and wait. If you want to speed things up even more, I recommend crafting a battle potion. Any Cattiva or Foxparks that spawn and survive the journey will make their way to the safety box. It is possible they die along the way, but most of the time I've found that they make it. I usually get one every 15 to 20 minutes. Shortly after they get to you, they'll be out of range of the goblin archers. The archers will stand there for a moment unsure of what to do, then despawn, which will allow you to pick up your new pals. Be sure to give them lots of scratches and love. And that's how you get Cattiva, Foxparks, and Digtoise in Skyblock. Remember that Terraria is still selling an epic Plantera t-shirt and Seedler keychain, which you can find in the description and pinned comment. Every purchase goes to help supporting the channel, and you can help us further by leaving a like, a comment, and don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all of my future videos. A special thanks to my biggest supporter for the month, Kasu, and be sure to check out my channel artist, MythicalWater, linked in the description below. Thank you all very much for watching. Be back soon with a new video. Happy building.
Digtoise.